So I am here today with two of my past clients. I have Nick and Maddy Squires. They've been in this house now for a little over a year, so I kind of wanted to come back, follow up with them, see how they're doing, catch a little bit on what they've done in the past, and then kind of figure out where they go in the future, ask them some home questions, give some insight into you guys and to maybe first-time home buyers. But Nick and Maddy here, they're actually second-time home buyers, so they can kind of have that transition from how it was for the first home and how it's going now and all that good stuff. So we're kind of just going to jump right into it. I'm going to turn the floor over here to Nick and Maddy. Tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of what you do for work and all that good stuff here.
My name is Maddy, and I'm a legal assistant at Victoria's Secret, specifically in the legal real estate department, and originally I'm from Louisa, Kentucky.
Oh.
And I'm Nick. I'm a mechanical engineer with American Electric Power. I work downtown Columbus now. Originally from Ohio, but moved to West Virginia when I started my career out of college, and that's where Maddy and I met. And then we got married, and then I brought her up here to Ohio with me because I swapped positions. So kind of that's how we ended up where we're at.
Perfect. And how did you land on Newark specifically versus, maybe Pataskala, Columbus, all that good stuff?
It was a good in between.
Yeah, it was good in between because I was working at the time in Dresden, Ohio, which is just north of Zanesville, and she was working. You're in Reynoldsburg now. You were in Worthington, so
right.
But we were trying to get something in between, so we had equal driving time.
No, that's fair. That's a good thing. And then, how long have you both been in Ohio now? So, you've been here obviously before, but you've only been here year and a half now?
Year and a half, yeah, since November.
How are you adjusting to Ohio as a whole? I mean, I'm sure it's similar to.
It's similar. I like it a lot better because I really love my job here. So I think I like it better. There's more things to do.
Yeah, compared to where we were at in West Virginia, you either had to come back up to Ohio. My family and a lot of my friends were up in Ohio, but there was two major cities we lived in between Charleston, West Virginia, and Huntington, West Virginia. But there's just so much more going on
better
here.
Better shopping, better restaurants.
What sticks out to you the most? Because I think a lot of people right now are moving to Ohio from out of state. It just seems to be a popular hub there. And as a transplant, I'm a transplant too from Florida. A lot of people just don't get why you would come to Ohio. So what stands out to you?
Job opportunities, for sure. There's a lot better opportunities that I don't see a lot back home, specifically in Eastern Kentucky. I have a lot of friends that are actually moving to the Columbus area just for the job opportunities.
Nice.
So that's the major difference.
Yeah, I think also entertainment-wise too. There's a lot that goes on downtown and in the surrounding area too. I mean, I think you're from Lancaster, and there's a Lancaster Festival every year. That was always a big thing growing up. There's always the fairs that go on every year. That's always a big attraction. And I mean, if you're into the music scene, sports scene, there's all kinds of stuff.
Sheryl Crow apparently is coming this year for the Lancaster Festival. So I guess in that side, what is the most entertaining thing that you guys find here in Columbus from an entertainment perspective?
Definitely the music scene is a lot better. So there's a lot more concerts to go to, a lot better music scene. Coming from Eastern Kentucky, not as much there in entertainment. Definitely not as big as arenas to play in. No sports, college sports at least.
For sure. Definitely OSU dominates around here. That's
and with AEP, I was able to, they have these boxes in the Nationwide Arena or Huntington Park, and so we were able to go to Blue Jackets game, and she fell in love with hockey because she doesn't like big grown men beating each other up every once in a while.
Big hockey fan.
So we wouldn't have the opportunity if we weren't living close to
better entertainment for sure.
Awesome. And then I guess pivoting back to the music scene, just to let you plug yourself if you're interested. I understand that you're into photography now, and they've been inviting you to photograph concerts right up on it. Tell me a little about it and about your business and all that good stuff.
Yeah, you can follow me on Facebook at M Mead Photography. But I've been shooting a lot of shows at Newport, and so that's been a lot of fun. I shot Noah Kahn, who kind of blew up on TikTok, and I shot him in Athens, and that was amazing. He did a phenomenal job. I'm shooting a show at the Bluestone on Saturday, and then on Tuesday I'm shooting at Newport again. So that's been a crazy experience that I definitely wouldn't have had in Eastern Kentucky because there's just not as many venues and not as many artists coming to Eastern Kentucky. So that's been amazing and a really nice experience. I also have signed up for the Taylor Swift one, the concert in Cincinnati, so fingers crossed.
Pivoting back to Columbus, Newark, obviously there's good stuff about it, but what do you wish could be changed around here that maybe you did more back where you were at?
The amount of people, which that's not going to go anywhere.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, if you leave downtown at the wrong time, you're in traffic. If you're going down, it wasn't so bad when I worked in Dresden, but now I'm working downtown Columbus, I see it a little more, but you're going to have that in such a booming area like this, so I can't complain too much.
Yeah, being from Eastern Kentucky, it's more scenic, and so it was kind of like a culture shock moving up here, even though like we had visited and stayed with your parents quite a bit. It's definitely more beautiful.
I think
back home,
Ohio
just because of the
has
mountains.
its hidden gems every once in a while. You just have to know where. I mean, obviously there's Hocking Hills, but like
but like the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah, you don't have that
like
up here.
No, exactly.
It's a trade-off because you might not have the Appalachian Mountains, but you have all the entertainment and shopping venues and
the job opportunities.
That is a real big thing, especially in this area in Licking County itself. With Intel, Amazon, Facebook, Google, whoever else is coming. I don't know.
Let's transition a little bit away from like your personal lives and more towards like the homeowner side of it here. So this is not your first house, so this is the second one. There has it been easier, and like what differences have you seen between the two houses?
It's been a lot easier, and I think it's because going into it, we knew the bad things to look out for before we would purchase the home.
What would those be? I guess like the top three in your head.
So look at behind everything in every closet, because in our last house there was carpet that was for recently redone floors that they stacked up in the closet. We didn't move them, and then 4 months later I move it and there's mold. There's just
checking all the faucets, making sure everything works so it doesn't, when you turn it on, it doesn't fall off in your hand the first day that you...
Another example of what was at our old house. And just do that inspection and do a thorough inspection. Be there for the inspection. That was another issue we had, because when we bought our first house, it was right when COVID started. So we weren't able to, by the seller's request, we weren't allowed to be there, which we probably should have fought back on that a little bit more to be there.
Well, I feel like you were a better advocate for us than our last realtor.
Yeah.
And
that makes a big difference.
Yeah, you were a lot more knowledgeable, and she was more like standoffish.
And you know, when we first started a home search up here, you know, we tried a couple of different realtors, and you can tell which ones are more pushy for the sales, or we'll tell you now this is out of your price range. I'm like, how do you know? Like, what do you mean? Like, that's not what you should say. For one, you should try and sell the home, but two, it's like, why you shouldn't be degrading your clients at that point. But then we were able to find you, and you know, I made the process fun. You were understanding with it, but so it's getting that personal connection, I think, with who you're buying your home with helps a lot too, because then you're not feeling pressured at any time. You're able to have those conversations of maybe this home's not the right one because there's so many offers that are way above asking or anything like that. So
thank you for the compliments there. I really appreciate that. Like fun was like a word there, and like just like the ease of it being done like that. So that's good. So now that you've been in the house, like what is the biggest benefit of being a homeowner versus, I mean, it's been a while since you rented, but I'm sure like you remember that day. Like what's been the biggest benefits for you?
I'm not gonna lie, when we moved to Ohio, I was fortunate enough that I didn't have to find a job immediately, which meant that I also had to stay in our townhouse more than what I normally stay at home. And so I guess the major benefit, the townhouse that we had was just not good. It was just not good, and it's really competitive to find somewhere to live right now in general, and specifically in Pataskala where we were, and there's not a lot to rent from. And so being able to make it ours,
that was what I was going to say. Like when you're renting, you don't necessarily get to make it your own, because you're always in the back of your head thinking, can I get my security deposit back if I put this nail in this wall, or if you have the know-how to put drywall spackle on it, you can get around it. And that's what I did, but it's still like you just don't want to mess with it because it's temporary. Whereas with the home, it's a lot more permanent, and you have so much more opportunity to make it your own.
It's your own
paint
space.
Your walls whatever color you want if you want to paint walls, which luckily we haven't had to do here. But
and when you know that it's temporary, it's like I had no motivation to really make it my own, because we knew we wanted to buy a house, and so it was like a lack of motivation.
And this house didn't have cockroaches like our townhome.
Oh, that's
good. And that's another thing. Like when you have issues like that, you're relying on somebody else to plan it, and then they're coming into your space when you're probably not home.
Yeah, who knows what's happening?
You're at the mercy of their direction of how they want to manage their property. Whereas when it's your own, you have a little more leeway.
Exactly. No, I agree. And so I guess on the opposite side of that, what has been the largest challenge for you? Maybe not. It could be this home or even your last one that you've had to deal with.
I mean, maintenance-wise, it hasn't been bad, but the size of this house compared to our last one is a lot larger, about 1,000 square feet or so. And it's just been, it's a little more harder to keep up with if we're not careful. We have to kind of be a little more diligent on that front, but also it's just, we definitely have a little too much space, I think.
Yeah.
But it's better than not having enough.
That's fair.
Room to grow.
Yeah.
Exactly. You have guests over and all that stuff. Who knows what will happen? So, excellent there. And then, I guess in the same kind of vein, like, have you guys had any unusual expenses, like something that people wouldn't normally think of in the home owning process, but has definitely been a cost for you guys?
We really haven't had too much go wrong with this house. And I think that puts us back to doing those proper inspections and knowing ahead of time what you're going to have to encounter.
What you're getting into.
I mean, like, we knew we would have to go after the roof eventually, and so we did that. Luckily, insurance helped us cover that. But
and we were able to negotiate.
Yes, we were able to negotiate that into our home purchase offer. Like, we knew the roof was needing some work. We knew the AC was old. Can you give us some credits? And so that helped a lot. The radon stuff, I started seeing a lot of people through the neighborhood have radon reduction systems on their house. So I got tested. It's not super bad, but it's something we probably need to invest in just for our own health.
Sure.
But other than that, there's been no real big surprises. I mean, a faucet here or there outside that's maybe leaking that I need to work on eventually.
Nothing unusual.
No,
that's good then. I think, sometimes you get these weird things like a pipe underground running to the city blows up and you have to dig a trench and all this weird stuff.
That was our last house.
That's good.
It was very...
What's the weirdest thing that happened at your last house in that respect?
We bought a electric fireplace and we went to plug it in. Outlet didn't work, and so Nick was able to fix it. And then we went down the hallway and you're like, you know what? We've never looked in this closet. And so the carpet was piled pretty high. And so Nick pulled it back and it was like black mold.
That was that mold that we found.
That was an unusual, unexpected.
It was like a hidden roof leak that the previous owners hid very, very well.
Yeah.
Probably why they didn't want to stay for the inspection.
Probably so.
Yeah, and then we started finding, like, clearly they wired some things themselves, because that's what I found the issue was with the GFCIs and how the load line was on.
And it goes back to having a good realtor that's an advocate for you, because our realtor during that process was like, well, that's how it is, and like didn't really give us any guidance.
It was during that boom for buying homes. Where interest rates were, gosh, I think we had that one for 3%, and maybe it wasn't able to be as personal at that point because they're just it was a super hot market. But.
Yeah, interesting. And mold's like that hard one too, where it's like it's not really an issue unless you ignore it for a long time, and then it grows and it becomes an issue.
I had to replace the whole. It was an angled closet.
It was probably 3 by 2 feet, probably.
Oh wow!
Oh no, more than that. It was probably 5 foot wide, couple of 2 feet tall.
Yeah,
it was a lot.
There was a reason
I had to
the
replace that, so that was fun.
Well, I guess pivoting back to like this house here, and a little happier approach. Have you guys had any funny stories or interesting things happen?
The previous homeowners had a security system, and so Nick has never had a security system before, and he was questioning what would happen if he didn't type in the code.
Because they didn't leave us the code, so I had to reset the code, and I was like, well, I think it's ours now. But because we didn't have anything that said we were signed up for any security, I thought it was just an at-home security system that alarm could go off and nothing would happen.
No, and I told him that typically what happens when you don't punch the code in within 60 seconds, it gives whoever's signed up for it a phone call. And if you ignore the phone call, which they would have because they don't live here anymore, then they call it triggers the police to come. Well, so Nick had to do it. You just had to try it out.
Alarm works great. It's very loud.
It does work. And then about 10 minutes later, we had a police officer at our doorstep, but he was
very understanding.
Very understanding.
He's like, that happens more than you think. So
I mean, really, cool. you needed to test his response time too. How long do you need to struggle for?
We have a camera outside. It gave us a notification there was activity. I was like, what's that? And then the doorbell rang. It's like, that's a cop. I'm like, oh, oh no.
Told you that.
Well, perfect.
And then it just clicked. I was like, security system.
It actually works. That's good.
Your wife was correct.
Yep, that's
great job, Eddie. All right, and on the opposite angle of that, any like scary stories? Hopefully, there's no ghosts or anything here, but anything like
there are no ghosts, and I really can't think there's anything really scary here. I mean,
how about your last house or anything like that? Any
that witch in the basement?
There was a witch in the crawl space, and I did not dare to move it.
No,
it was like a little witch doll, and it was
decoration.
Like it had green eyes, and it was stationed in the crawl space to look at the door when you come in. And I just did not move it. No, I was not testing that. We heard noises at night, and it was probably just, the AC or something, but you never know. So we just kind of moved on and left it there. And I hope the new owners of that house kept it there, because I don't know if it's a bad omen.
It's now kind of just like a totem of
you don't know. So
to go back there. All right. I know when we were downstairs kind of doing a tour of the house, they left like a little urn down there.
There was an urn.
I'm thinking that's kind of like a similar effect. So
yeah, the urn was there, and my dad helped us move, and he saw the urn and was like, "Grandma's not in there, right?" I'm like, "I hope not. You're right. I should probably check."
I think they meant it to be decorative.
Yeah,
but
so it's still down there. It's a nice decorative piece in the corner.
It's good. I like when you keep a little element from like the old owner. It's just kind of, I don't know, it ties it all together a little bit, so it's good there. And have you guys had like a lot of friends over and hosted like any events here, anything like that?
Yes, we try to be the hosts now, because we were in our friend group, we're kind of the only ones that have a home so far. And so when we were in West Virginia, it was a lot harder because they had to drive 2.5 hours to get to us. But now it's 30 minutes, and we can hang out, have plenty of room for everybody, cook dinner, grill outside, and then everyone go home at the end of the night and not have any issues of trying to figure out sleeping spaces and people waking up with hurt backs or anything like that. So
that's true. And you have the guest room, so if they did need to stay, they could or whatever. So
we haven't really hosted a lot of our families. I think mostly it's been her mom, like her aunt coming up to visit, because they still live in eastern Kentucky.
They like to go shopping.
I think that's their favorite thing.
They drive up here to go shopping with you?
They come up here, I see them parked on the driveway, I'm like, okay, they're going shopping. Okay.
Nice. And I guess kind of like a final question to tie all this together. Obviously you're locked in for a little while here, but let's say you go to buy a new house. What would you look for differently, and what would you maybe do differently your third time through?
That's a good question.
Space.
I don't think
this is a 3,100 square foot house, and we are.
There's some rooms
what's the phrase for it? The a dog and like dual income.
Oh.
No kids, and just a dog. So we're dual income.
There's too much space for just the two of us. There's rooms that we don't go into for like a couple of months at a time.
Right.
And so I don't think we need as much space as we have, but it's good to have because we have plenty of opportunity to grow into it. And so I think that's the main thing. If we didn't have any kids.
And like the only thing I wish we probably had was a little bigger yard, or maybe already had a fenced-in yard. But those are, you pay really extra for those, and you're maybe not
budget.
It's not in the budget for us at that time. And, it's stuff you can add later.
For sure,
it makes the project list grow really long. I think that's been the hardest challenge. Is once you get settled into a home, you start making that list, but then you don't always go after it because it's just easy to get caught up in life.
Oh, for sure.
Want to do everything else but the list. Like our garage is still probably half full of boxes where we moved in. So
that's all right.
I'll get to it eventually. That's what I keep telling myself.
And that's good. Like always have a little bit, because you always should be kind of improving it, but you don't want to overwhelm the house too. I see some people that start like 10 projects at once. It's like you can't even live there. It's a construction.
Yeah, you buy a house to live in, not to work in, unless you're really buying a fixer-upper.
For sure.
Luckily, this house, it had everything that we wanted. It had an updated kitchen, bathrooms. We didn't have to do anything.
The only thing that's really been needed is like the roof, which we got taken care of, and the AC's old, but it still works great. So we're going to keep that thing going until it quits.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate both of you kind of like sharing this to me. Any like final thoughts, feedback, anything like you think is important to share with people?
The insurance policy, like we learned that with the roof. Watch that when you sign up for it, because we lucked out, luckily, but if there's like an ACV, which is your actual cost value for roof replacement, which is depreciated based on the age of the roof, versus your RCV, which is your replacement cost value, which covers the whole roof if there's damage. So I know there's been a lot of wind in Ohio here the last couple of months.
Yes,
our neighborhood is just full of roofing signs in the yard of people getting roofs done. We got ours done too, but like that can catch you off guard really quick. And we've been in the house for around a year now, and if we weren't financially prepared for it, it can really hurt you. And then you're not just fixing the roof, then you get a leak, then you're fixing drywall, insulation, and it can pile up. So
absolutely,
keep up on the maintenance for sure is the biggest thing.
Yeah,
definitely
get it before it gets bad.
Yes.
Be proactive about it. That's the main thing for the maintenance, is to be proactive.
I agree. Yeah, proactive better than reactive. That's
Yes.
100% of the time. And then understanding like your insurance policies and the best way to utilize them, I think, is good. Like, like you said, I think you said we pay $1,000 for a new roof, basically, which is fantastic.
Yeah, we thought we'd be paying $6,000-$7,000 for a new roof, and we lucked out and only had to pay deductible. So
that's
and you can't beat that, because then you get a roof that's 20, 25 years, life on it. And if you plan to be there a long time, maybe you'll have to do it again. But if not, you got a new roof for...
Probably not. Zach's going to hook us up with a new house by then.
That's 2020. Now that I work in Columbus, it'd be nice to be a little closer, but my drive's 45 minutes in the morning. It's not bad.
No, I feel like 45, that's kind of what it is for me from Lancaster to Newark here. And it's like that just max amount of time where I'm not annoyed by it.
Coming home, it can be rough, because you leave at 3:30, you can go 45 minutes. You leave at 4 o'clock, it's now 50 minutes. That's 55 minutes. It's an hour, It's learning the trends of the driving habits.
And I guess I'm lucky. I get to do mostly country roads. I don't have to cut through like 70 or 270.
I'm really curious with Newark, or with 16 and 161 with Intel coming, and how backed up that's going to get around New Albany. I can already see it coming.
It might. I think this whole area is going to completely transform over the next 5 to 10 years.
And I think our home value is going to, at least according to, if you believe the Zillows and the Redfins and all that.
I would. I think in this case, specifically Potter's Grove, like this is one of the most like sought after communities right now in like this Newark area, in my opinion. So a lot of people talk about it, and I think it's close enough to places like Intel, but also far enough away you're not right on top of all the traffic and stuff. So it's definitely going to improve the area, in my opinion.
And with Newark, I mean, we never really knew what all was downtown, but downtown has a nice little strip there of good places to eat.
And I kind of like those roundabouts. Like they were weird to me at
first,
but
great.
I'm like, oh, this is kind of nice, kind of convenient.
So it's always nice moving into a new area and just finding the little hidden treasures that you can go experience.
Absolutely.
Thanks for making it through the video. Zack Linder here from Zack Linder and the Zack Pack, powered by Coldwell Banker. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It does support our channel. We really appreciate it. And check out one of these other videos while you're here. Have a great day.